Jason, how are you?
I'm good, how are you?
Part of the program I'm enrolled in at NASPA is that I have to interview an administrator on campus in order to tell them more about the conference that I'm going to and introduce the idea to them. So, do you know what NASPA is?
I do.
May you tell me what you think NASPA is?
Well, NASPA is it's an organization that both educates student affairs professionals. It also networks with them, it supports them. I know recently they're moving to more international settings, which will be a huge effect for us in Kuwait.
Sure, you summed it up for me. Okay, before we start the questions, please state your name, the institution, and your title.
Okay, Jason Sullivan. The institution is American University of Kuwait, and my title is Assistant Director of Career Services and Wellness.
Okay. Okay, so question number one. What is one tip that you have for the first time attendee for the NASPA conference?
Probably the best tip would be to take it in, just to take everything in, meet people, shake lots of hands, talk with lots of people, but really take in what's being given, because NASPA, one, has such a wealth of information and has such a wealth of people, qualified people, and they will offer you just so much wisdom, so much experience, and tons of great information.
Are you a NASPA member, Jason?
Yes.
You're a NASPA member. And why are you a NASPA member?
I am a NASPA member because they require us to be one, but also for the same reasons, because what we do here in this department, we work with alumni, we work with disabilities, we work with personal counseling, we work with student employment, we work with the health clinic, and all of those areas are constantly changing. Students change, technology changes, the way we do things will always be changing, and so it's good to have a grounded source. It's good to have someone who's watching the trends and can pass that along to us so that we're more efficient in how we go about meeting the needs of the students.
So how do you cope with these trends?
With the trends, again, constantly educating. We're constantly learning. I think, when you graduate, it's like a lot of times we feel like, oh man, I'm not a student anymore. But in reality, what going through college teaches you is how to continue to be a student. And so if I'm always learning, if I bring learning to my job, and I'm always watching the trends and educating myself, what NASPA does is they kind of take a step out of that for me. That they are learning on a different level and making it available to me. So in some ways, it's like a bigger classroom where I can take my information and apply it here. Our staff can do the same as well. So we're always prepared.
Okay, that sounds appealing. Why did you choose a career in student affairs?
Well, it's funny because I originally not intended to do student affairs.
Oh, really? Why?
I had originally set out to do private practice and do mental health counseling in that setting. When I came to the university, it was a new option. It was kind of a new career path. I was excited to do it. Being a part of student affairs, though, it really does line up with a lot of the philosophies that I have. That we invest ourselves in the personal side of students, not to just entertain, not to give them stuff to do, but to actually be a part of their education. Because if we're constantly synthesizing the material, when you go to a classroom, you learn the material, but when you have conversations, when you do activities, you're applying it, you're synthesizing it. And so our part of the process of learning is that we help offer events, we help offer activities and outlets for students to process and synthesize what they're learning.
That's great. The conference that in next year, 2013, there's going to be a conference, but they're not really sure. They're revealing like top secret information, so we're not supposed to tell anyone.
Oh, okay, nobody knows.
Even our camera woman is not supposed to tell anyone. Top secret. So the theme is Ball Without Boundaries. What does that mean to you?
Well, I think that any time that we set out for a goal we're constantly looking and we're weighing out things like efficiency. We're weighing out what's the greatest way that we can help people. What's a big one is always, does it fit in our budget? It's always a big conversation. Do we have the money to do this? Do we have the money to pursue it? And I think a lot of times it's very, very easy to get caught up in the business of helping students, in the business of making sure it's attainable. I think the idea of being bold without boundaries is that our goal is set clearly on what the students' needs are, and we are bold about it, that we say, okay, we may not have all of the options or all the resources, but we're not going to let that stop us. We're going to be creative and work around it. I'll give you a good example. The issue of career. It's a changing field. When you graduate, let's say the top people are doing one area of study. We were talking about this yesterday with Dr. Dungy when she was here. And she was saying that a lot of students will do engineering, or a lot of students will be a doctor. Well, you do that for 5 years, and all of a sudden you have a lot of doctors or a lot of engineers and not that many jobs left for them, because now you have them advancing and the field is saturated. Mm-hmm. And so then we have to respond to that. And so then it's like if someone wants to do engineering now, it's not, okay, you can get a job as an engineer, it's very easy. Mm-hmm. It's how do we help you find a good fit for you where you can use the skills and apply them in a field that's very hard to get into. Mm-hmm. And so the way that we're tailoring what we do in a different way. It doesn't mean we stop, it doesn't mean we tell them to change their major, because if that's what their skill set is, then it's really good for them. Mm-hmm. But we have to educate them then how to use it. And so we want to be bold with that. We don't want to discourage anybody from pursuing what they're good at. So in that way, we're bold, but we're looking at the boundaries and saying, but you know what, don't let that stop you. Because it's hard to find a job doesn't mean it's impossible. So then we utilize our other resources, CV critiques, interview skills. We offer workshops around that. And so we really want to expand past the limits of what a lot of schools do. So in that way, I would say that being bold without boundaries is what we do.
So this question wasn't in the questionnaire, but I would want to ask, like, what last advice you want to give me before while I'm in this program?
And any advice in the program? Again, I think that taking in information, learning in any program, in any period of life that you're going through is very important. But teaching yourself to continue to be a student. And you'll see this with people who are advanced in what they do, who are really, really good with people, who are really good with information. They're always learning. They're always students to other people. They're always students to their environment. They're students to situations. They've taught themselves to learn. So I would say, as you're taking in the information, as you're experiencing these new things, as you're attending the conference, these are all new classrooms. They're all new ways of taking in information. And the question, I think, for you will be, how do you synthesize that? What do you do with it? How do you apply it? And who are your teachers? So I would say that would probably be the biggest tip.
Thank you
Definitely.
so much. I really appreciate it. This was Raghda El Deeb from Region 3 internationally. And our interview is over.
Cool.
Cool.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much.